My name is Chev Chelios, and today is the day that I die. I've been poisoned with some kind of Chinese synthetic. You gotta do something for me, Doc.
You die. Clear?
Where's Baron?
I don't know where he is.
Your whole crew is history.
The movie kicks off with Chev waking up feeling severe symptoms. His vision is blurred, and he can barely walk as he stumbles to his living room. There, he finds a videotape and plays it. Ricky, a fellow hitman, appears on the screen, revealing that he injected Chev with a deadly toxin that will kill him within an hour. Enraged, Chev smashes the TV in frustration.
Just have about an hour max. Tick-tock.
He rushes to his car and speeds to a nearby club to find Ricky. On the way, he calls his informant Kylo, asking him to locate the missing hitman for revenge. While driving, Chev's heartbeat slows, and he struggles to stay conscious. He finally reaches the club, storms in, and grabs the owner at gunpoint, demanding to know Ricky's location. Calmly, the owner says he doesn't know, so Chev leaves, frustrated. He then calls his doctor, Miles, and explains his symptoms. Miles reveals that Chev was injected with the Chinese cocktail, a deadly poison that shuts down adrenaline production. He advises Chev to keep moving to stimulate adrenaline, or he'll die. Miles also tells him he's out of town, but will return in a few hours. Chev thanks him and hangs up. Right then, Chev hears a police loudspeaker ordering him to pull over. Multiple police vehicles are behind him. Seeing a chance to boost his adrenaline, he ignores them and drives into a mall, leading the officers on a high-speed chase. He crashes into an escalator.
Sure.
Escapes through a back door, and runs to a taxi. Chev yanks the passenger out and orders the driver to speed off. Inside the cab, he follows the doctor's advice, aggressively moving his head to keep adrenaline pumping. Soon, the taxi stops at a supermarket. Chev jumps out, enters the store, pulls the cashier across the counter, and threatens him with a gun. Chev grabs a bunch of energy drinks in the store, then returns to the cab and heads to Carlito's house. He joins Carlito in his pool and talks with the cartel lord, learning that Carlito not only knows about his predicament, but even ordered it. The cartel was under attack by a vengeful Chinese gang after Kim's assassination, so Carlito decided to have Chev killed to make peace with them. Furious, Chev storms out, throws the cab driver to the ground, steals the car, and races off.
Just gave you $200 to wait for 3 minutes.
You're not getting in my car. No way.
Al-Qaeda! Al-Qaeda!
Minutes later, he gets a call from Miles, who advises him to get epinephrine shots from a hospital to counter the poison. Chev thanks the doctor and hangs up as a call from Kylo comes in, informing him that Ricky's brother Alex is in a nearby eatery. Excited, Chev heads straight to the restaurant, waits outside for Alex, and attacks as soon as he steps out. Chev slices off Alex's hand with a butcher knife, pins him to the ground, and demands information on Ricky.
You feel like something, me too, yeah?
Even with his injuries, Alex refuses to talk and tackles Chev to the ground. Kylo arrives just in time to hit Alex on the head with a wooden stick, distracting him so Chev can shoot him from behind. A few minutes later, Chev sneaks into a hospital disguised as a patient. He calmly walks down a hallway, but suddenly spots 2 officers in a ward and bolts down the corridor. They chase him, but he stays ahead, dodging patients and dashing down a staircase. He spots a group of medics pushing a patient on a stretcher and sprints after them. He grabs a nurse and holds him at gunpoint, demanding an epinephrine shot. The terrified nurse frantically searches the cart, finds the vial, and hands it over. Chev snatches it, feeling his heart rate slow and quickly devising a plan to pump it back up. He asks the nurse to shock him with a defibrillator, but the nurse hesitates. When Chev points his gun at him, the nurse gives in and blasts him with the device. The shock throws Chev backward, landing him in an elevator. As officers approach to arrest him, he fires at them, forcing them to retreat. Chev then throws a patient out of the elevator, shuts the doors, and heads down to make his escape.
Clear?
While descending, he uses a syringe to draw from the vial and injects himself. Unfortunately, he overdoses and goes into overdrive, hyperactively running around the city. He eventually stops at a crowd watching TV and learns the police have launched a citywide search for him. Meanwhile, Ricky hears of his brother's death when Alex's severed hand is delivered to him. Furious, Ricky decides to hunt down Chev to kill him once and for all. Elsewhere, Chev worries about his girlfriend Eve and calls her. Hearing her voice, he's relieved and tells her he'll be at her place soon. Eve, unsuspecting, says goodbye and hangs up. Moments later, Chev spots a policeman on a bike, grabs his gun, and forces him to back away. Chev steals the bike, taunts the officer by circling him, then speeds off to Eve's house. Once there, he tells her to get dressed, and the two leave the apartment together. Outside, Chev spots one of Ricky's men and trips Eve's bag to distract her. While she picks it up, Chev attacks the thug, snapping his neck and dumping him in a nearby pool. Chev then returns to Eve, and the couple heads downtown to a local restaurant. It all seems like a perfectly normal date. While they wait for their meal, Chev reveals to Eve that he's a professional assassin and warns her that she's in serious danger. Eve is shocked, thinking Chev made up the story as a strange way to break up with her.
I kill people. Professional hitman. Freelance for a major West Coast crime syndicate.
Furious, she storms out of the restaurant, and Chev follows closely. He grabs her hand, but as he does, his heartbeat slows down, and he collapses to the ground. Chev then asks Eve to help pump his adrenaline by doing an activity right there on the street. Eve hesitates, calls him crazy, but eventually gets caught up in the moment when he kisses her. The couple passionately goes through with it, kickstarting his heart better than any adrenaline shot. The crowd watches and cheers them on. Suddenly, Chev gets a call from Kylo, who tells him Ricky is at a nearby warehouse. Chev quickly pulls on his clothes, kisses Eve goodbye, and heads off. Eve also gets dressed as the crowd disperses. At the warehouse, Chev finds Carlito's men waiting for him and discovers that Kylo is dead. He realizes that his boss Carlito set him up, using Kylo to lure him here. Enraged, Chev shoots and kills two of the men, sparking a gunfight. Soon after, he spots Eve in the building's elevator and is shocked to see her. Chev races to the elevator, using Kylo's body as a shield from the gunfire, but as he jumps inside, a bullet hits him in the leg. The couple takes the lift to the ground floor, where a group of tailors sew clothes. Chev ambushes one of the thugs, shoving his hand into a sewing machine. The man screams in agony as Chev and Eve leave the building. They steal a car and drive away, but Carlito's men jump into their own cars and chase them in a fiery pursuit. Chev speeds up, trying to shake off his pursuers, but the thugs are persistent, shooting at him to slow him down. Fortunately, their shots only hit the car's back window, and Chev quickly fires back, hitting the men and causing their cars to crash. After they escape, Chev receives a call from Miles, who informs him he's back in town. Relieved, Chev heads to the doctor's residence, where Miles gives him an epinephrine shot to slow the poison's effects. However, Miles explains there is no antidote, and Chev only has a few hours to live. Miles offers him a painless poison to make his death easier, but Chev refuses, determined to settle the score with Ricky. Shortly after, Chev calls Ricky and arranges to meet at a nearby hotel. Chev kisses Eve goodbye, promising to return, then heads to the meeting. At the hotel, he loads his gun in the bathroom and hides it under his coat before stepping into the elevator. He rides up to the top floor, where two of Ricky's men take his gun and lead him to Ricky. Chev finds Carlito and Ricky seated on a couch. After a brief exchange, Carlito pulls out a syringe with the Chinese cocktail, ordering his men to hold Chev down so he can inject him with another dose to finish him off. But before the thugs can act, one of them is shot in the head. Carlito's gang is shocked to see this, but soon realizes that a rival gang behind Chev took the shot. When Carlito sees the gang, he is surprised to discover that Kim leads them. In a flashback, we learn that Chev spared Kim's life and told the gang leader to leave town for a few days. Kim agreed, and word spread that he was dead. However, he has been alive and hiding ever since. Kim brought his gang to help Chev escape his deceitful employer. The Chinese mafia opens fire on Carlito and his men as the gang scatters to dodge the shots. Ricky aims his gun at the rival gang, but Chev throws a wine bottle at him, severing his fingers. Meanwhile, Carlito hides behind a wall and calls his pilot to land a helicopter on the roof. Moments later, Chev spots Carlito leaving the area and heading up a flight of stairs. Chev follows Carlito closely and stops just as he enters the helicopter. At that moment, Ricky sneaks behind Chev and injects him with a second dose of poison. Carlito shouts at Ricky for abandoning him during the shootout, which enrages Ricky. He shoots Carlito in the chest. Ricky throws Carlito's body out of the helicopter and orders the pilot to take off. As the helicopter rises, Chev grabs the door and attacks Ricky. The two men fight in the air and eventually fall from the aircraft. While falling, Chev grabs Ricky's neck and snaps it, completing his revenge. Soon after, Chev lands on a car and bounces off, falling to the ground. The movie ends with Chev staring wide-eyed at the camera, showing that he is still alive. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more amazing videos. See you next time.